So we're talking about the three types of arguments: inductive, deductive, and analogical. In the last video, we talked a little bit about what makes an argument an inductive argument. Inductive arguments use pieces of evidence to show that their conclusion is likely to be true. If we have a strong inductive argument, then the conclusion is probable. But inductive arguments cannot give us certainty. It's just simply in the matter of the way they are built. We looked at some examples, at least one good example of an inductive argument. But I'd like for you to compare that with this example. Here is a deductive argument. All mice are mammals. Premise 2, all mammals are animals. Therefore, the conclusion, all mice are animals. If those two premises are true, how likely is it that the conclusion is true? It's certain. Deductive arguments, and deductive arguments only, can give us certainty. And so deductive arguments are going to hold a special place in philosophy and in this class. We're going to have a lot more to say about deductive arguments, but before we go in this video, let me also introduce you to the idea behind analogical arguments. Analogical arguments are quite simply arguments by analogy. They compare two or more things, drawing a similar conclusion about both. One of the things I think I said early in introducing myself, or I've said to some of you personally, is I am a big movie buff, and so I like to use a lot of examples that come from movies. Well, there is an Academy Award winning film, and I know I'm going to be very unpopular here. There's an Academy Award winning film that I absolutely hated that has a famous analogical argument. You might have even guessed. The movie is Forrest Gump, and Forrest Gump continually compares two things and draws the same conclusion about each. He says, life is like a box of chocolates, and they're both alike in that you never know what you're going to get. Well, this is not a very good analogical argument. I bring it up only to help anyone who struggles to remember what an analogical argument is. It's simply, an argument by analogy where you're comparing two or more things and drawing a similar conclusion about both. But here would be an example of a better analogical argument. The human body is very much like a machine in that it is composed of a bunch of different parts, and they seem to work together for a purpose. And machines must have an intelligent designer. Therefore, the human body had an intelligent designer, God. Well, this is a rough version of what we might call the teleological argument for the existence of God, which is an analogical argument. I don't think it's a great argument. I might be able to make an equally persuasive argument against the existence of God, saying something like, well, a perfect, intelligent designer would only create a machine that doesn't break down easy and doesn't have unneeded parts. But the human body breaks down so easily. There's all these diseases that people get, and we all get old and sick and die. And, of course, there are parts like tonsils or appendix that, we just don't need. So there's maybe an equally compelling analogical argument there against the existence of God. I don't think that one's very persuasive either, for the record. Analogical arguments can provide some evidence for their conclusion. But analogical arguments do tend to be the weakest of the three. We will continue to talk about analogical arguments, and we will meet some in this class. But they are not nearly as important as deductive arguments. And so I have much more that I want to say about deductive arguments.